esteemed faculty, researchers, colleagues, dear students and friends, a very warm and pleasant evening to you all. I am Dr. Walter Hugh Parker, Assistant Professor from the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus, Chennai. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to day one of the one-week International Faculty Development Program on Curriculum Development, Research and Publication Ethics, organized by the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus, Chennai. Well-conducted research is vital to the success of global endeavors. Not only does research form the foundation of development and policies all over the world, but it can also be translated into effective programs for development. And that is the primary objective of this faculty development program. Research draws its power from the fact that it is empirical, rather than merely theorizing about what might be effective or what could work. Furthermore, good research utilizes methodologies that can be replicated and produces results that are examinable by peers, creates knowledge that can be applied to real-world situations. Researchers always work as a team to enhance their knowledge of how to best address the world's problems. Therefore, it is easy to say that it's one of the most significant topics of discussion in the world today. Another significant domain that we are going to explore during this one-week faculty development program is curriculum development. Curriculum plays an important role in creating the base of education. Hence, professional training in how to develop curriculum can be effective to learn the process. It gives faculty the opportunity to also develop their own style of teaching and consciously make learning much more effective and exciting. To offer valuable insights into these topics of discussion, we have with us 7 eminent speakers during this program who are very knowledgeable resource persons in these fields, who are going to enlighten us on these ever significant topics. I would like to take this opportunity to present the topics of the faculty development program. Day one today will feature a live session on the topic Strategy for Enhancing Citation Booster to Improve Research Visibility by Dr. S.A.D.SAMARAWEERA. On day two, we will be broadcasting a live session on the topic Writing and Publishing Quality Research Papers by Dr. Prashant Mote. The topic of day 3 will be Current Trends in Research Writing and Research Methodology by Dr. Nila. On day 4, we will have Dr. Dorian Kartigawangi deliberate on publication ethics. Day 5 will feature a live session on the topic Curriculum Development and Language Teaching by Madam Afroja Akhtar Tina. The topic of day 6 will be Avoiding Plagiarism to Achieve Academic Research Integrity by Dr. S. Veeramani. And on the final day, on the 9th, we will be witnessing Dr. D.N. Sansanwal deliberate on Identification of a Research Problem, Writing Titles and Objectives. I am sure we will have a lot to take away from the profound experience and expertise of these learned speakers. We will also have an interaction with the participants during the end of each session. So I kindly request the respected faculty and researchers attending to please be advised that you can reserve your queries, if any, for the Q&A session, which will be at the end of the presentation, and post your questions in the live chat stream on YouTube where you will attend this program. I also request that you do not post any queries regarding feedback, which will be sent at the end of the session. Thank you all. I would now like to request Dr. Rama, Professor and Head, Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, to deliver the welcome address to the virtual gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Walter. Good evening to the August gathering. In this globalized world, the role that research plays in an academic institution is definitely significant for its sustainability, development, and I think it is imperative to have knowledge-driven growth based on something innovative or innovation. But sadly, our education system today faces a number of constraints and challenges. Quality research is one of them. And barring few prestigious institutes, most of them display a very dismal picture in terms of quality and quantity research. Not many institutes have mandatory research goals for individual faculty, and most do not have adequate systems or infrastructure for quality research. Now, the lack of this encouraging academic environment, ill-equipped libraries, labs, and other equipment, inadequate
Hello.
infrastructure, lack of funds, faculty crunch, etc., are some of the factors that are contributing to the dismal picture of research in the Indian academic institution. But I think young researchers need not worry about that, because here are institutions like SRMIST, Ramapuram, which are bringing in the best minds to enlighten you about and give you a lot of insights about research. And definitely that will provide you more and more scope to better yourself in the research arena. So, on behalf of the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus, I welcome every one of you to the 1 week FDP on curriculum development, research, and publication ethics. Friends, we have amidst us today Dr. Samaraweera, Deputy Director General in Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences, the National Institute of Education, Sri Lanka. With a very impressive profile, Dr. Samaraweera is going to definitely enlighten us on, especially today's topic, which is strategies for enhancing citation booster to improve research visibility. Of course, giving a lot of impetus to WS, Scopus, and the related things. And you will all agree when I say that a task well begun is half done. With Dr. Samaraweera in our midst today, we are proud to say that we have already have made a great start for the 1 week FDP. So once again, sir, I want to thank you immensely for having spared your most valuable time to be with us today and to enlighten us on so many aspects that are related to research. So I welcome you most heartily, sir, on behalf of our department and on behalf of our institution, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus. So thank you once again, sir. And I also want to welcome each and every, I am sure there are many eminent people. We are very fortunate that there are many eminent people who have joined us today to share their knowledge, and also some of them to clarify their queries related to research. So I want to welcome each one of the attendees who are present here today on behalf of our department. And of course, I would like to place on record my sincere appreciation to the organizers of this entire 1 day FTP, Dr. Savitha, Dr. Walter Parker, Dr. Nagamani, and Pritha Basu. So with this, I would like to hand the session over to Dr. Savitha.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone present here. It's a great pleasure and privilege to introduce our speaker, Dr. S.A.D.SAMARAWEERA, who is going to guide us with some actionable ideas about the strategies for enhancing citation booster to improve research visibility. Dr. Samaraweera currently works as the Deputy Director General of the Faculty of Languages, Humanities and Social Sciences at the National Institute of Education in Sri Lanka. He does research in curriculum theory, teacher education, language education, education management and policy, and other development related areas. Having been in the field of English language teaching for more than 25 years as a teacher and a teacher educator, his professional goal is to help people change their lives through quality education. If we take a closer look at the alchemy of Dr. Samarawira, he is an inspiration to the teachers and researchers. He is specialized in teacher development, technology in education, teaching English language and literature, language testing and evaluation, curriculum and course design. His research publications in the international journals themed mainly on ESL teachers in Sri Lanka and second language acquisition by Sri Lankan students. He has also delivered plenary talks in international conferences, invited talks in various institutes at India, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka, conducted teacher training workshops, and participated and presented papers in conferences. He has served as a member of the Committee on Developing the National Curriculum Framework for Sri Lanka Beyond 2020, appointed by the Director General of the NIE, Secretary of the Expert Committee on Restructuring the National Institute of Education, member of the Board of Editors for developing new English language textbooks for the rationalized curriculum, Sri Lanka, coordinator for the Bachelor of Education degree program, instructional design advisor and evaluator for producing e-learning material related to English language and lot more assignments to his credit. Dr. Samarawira is also the chairman of Sri Lanka English Language Teachers Association and Sri Lanka Institute of Quality and Productivity Management, member of Asia TEFL, a professional association for the teaching of English as a foreign language in Asia, vice president of Sri Lanka School Psychology Association, and member of TISOL International Association. We are so happy to have you, Sir Amit sir. We thank you, sir, for kindly being our guest, and we fully appreciate your finding the time to be with us despite your tight schedule. I welcome you, sir, to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Dr. Savitha, for the wonderful introduction. And I was wondering whether I have done all those things over the last 25 to 30 years. Thank you very much again. And I want to thank SRM Institute of Science and Technology, particularly the Department of English and other foreign languages, the department head, and all the other academics for inviting me to this wonderful event, and to have known that I am the first speaker of this 7-day faculty development program. It gives me immense pleasure, and I'm honored and privileged. So during the pandemic period, of course, I have seen colleagues from India. They have been doing a lot in the field of education, particularly to enlighten the other colleagues who are involved in uh, research and development, and who are involved in curriculum development, materials development, and who are involved in many other fields. And your contribution, especially the contribution of the academics from India, is actually very, very important. And I think, because of this contribution, most of the academics in India they will be benefited. And what I heard is that we are going to have like 2,000 participants for this particular event, and it's really encouraging. So, as Dr. Savitha very correctly mentioned, I'm going to discuss a few things about boost your citation count, and particularly the overview of my presentation is going to be, first let's discuss why boost your citation count, and then I will discuss a few tips for researchers to boost their citation count, and I will deal with a few helpful resources as well. I think my slides are
Yes,
visible to you.
yes,
Right.
yes, it's
Thank
visible.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So to start with, why do we boost? Why do we need to boost our citation count? Actually, when we think of this particular question, why we should do things to boost our citation count, there are three main things we can identify. I will start with the personal factors. Now, there are personal benefits for the researcher, right? Personally, a researcher, when the citation count is up, right, a researcher will be benefited personally, career-wise. Those researchers will have career opportunities, better career opportunities, and they will have career advancement, right? It's very helpful for upward mobility of a researcher. And associated with this, we have this very attractive thing called funding possibilities. We know there are many funding sources. There are people and organizations ready to fund research, and particularly when it comes to our field, humanities and social sciences, of course, there is a very tight competition for research funding, unlike in the fields of, like in the field of ICT or natural sciences, or then we have the medical sciences, engineering, and in those areas, of course, funding is lavish, but when it comes to our fields, of course, there is a tight competition among researchers. So if your citation count is high, and if you are a well-known researcher, right, the moment if your name appears on Google search, right, on the top, then of course you will be the chances of your research being funded by eminent organizations, research organizations, is high. So those are the personal benefits. On the top of that, right, there are benefits for the organization you are in. For example, if you work for a university, when your research, your citation count goes up, that will help the organization in turn, because the organization can improve the ranking, world ranking. Right at the moment, of course, many of the universities in the world, the universities and other educational organizations, they are working hard to improve their ranking, and to retain their rank is another challenge. Right, every year we understand, now if you go through many of these university ranking websites, including, now we have QS world ranking, we have webometrics, right, whatever the ranking is, they have their own criteria, and it's very competitive to be at a top rank, and at the same time, to get into a top rank is very difficult, and even I don't say to get a top rank globally. First, we have to become a kind of a eminent university within the country, and to remain there, and then to get on to the global ranking system. So it's very difficult, but if we are committed and if we know how to keep our citation count up, of course you will get marks, and the organization will be benefited. So, and funding for the organization is also assured, right? Because there are a lot of funding sources like Erasmus Mundus, and then there are many, from the Western world. There are people and organizations again ready to fund universities and other institutes for quality research. So if the institute or the university or the organization has got eminent researchers whose citation count is high, that is going to be an added benefit. And the last one, but not least, this is the most important thing as a researcher. Now, maybe you get funds, maybe you don't get funds, maybe you get your professorship, maybe you get your next promotion or not. But as a researcher, right, researchers, of course, but they try hard, right? If you are a real researcher, what you do is we try to create, or we try to impact the field where we are, right? The impact you can create as a researcher in your field. Now, we all, I know, we are in the field of, many of us who join us today, we are in the field of education. The impact we can create in the field of education as a researcher, that counts a lot, because education is the source of life. To keep life going on this planet, we need to improve the standards of education. We need to keep the education standards up high, right, all the time. And if I draw your attention to the sustainable development goals. In our part of the world, of course, we have to do a lot to keep our contribution to sustainable development goals should be very high, because in South Asia, right, the population and the resources we have, human resources and physical resources, everything matters. So I think in this part of the world, our contribution to research is very, very vital to keep the world going, particularly our contribution to research in education. So with that light, let me first start with uh, giving you a few tips to boost your citation count, because I know the young researchers. I know today we have a gathering of diverse gathering. We have the young researchers, and then we have the expert researchers, right? But we all need to have, if we are really interested in uh, keeping our citation count up, right, we all have to have a plan. So this plan, I want to name it as, we have to have a research citation booster plan, right? In that plan, we have to have different items, and better to have a checklist. And when you start developing your next research paper, I think some of the tips I'm going to discuss today will be helpful to you. And at the end of the research, at the end of your research project, once you have developed your research paper, some of the things you can consider, some of the things I'm going to discuss today, you can consider them and you can check whether you have done those. And if so, definitely once you have published, your research will be cited by many people, because visibility, as you see in the flyer, right? Improving or enhancing research visibility, that is one of the uh, very important things or keywords in my title. So improving or enhancing research visibility is the challenge. Anybody can. Now we can engage in a research project and you can write a good research article, but and you can publish it. And after that, what will happen? How many people are going to read it? How many people are going to cite you, right? And to cite a researcher, of course, the visibility is the most important thing. So, how can we improve our research visibility? For that, I'm going to discuss 10 tips with you first before I give you the resources. So, the first tip is cite your own past work when it is relevant to a new manuscript. Right? This is giving credit to yourself, right? Citing yourself. It's true that we cite others in the field, the eminent people and the most important researchers in the field where we are. But citing your own past work, right? That gives credibility to your work, and that adds to the value of what you do, and that shows uh, that
Sir,
shows
I'm sorry to interrupt you. The
yeah.
slide is not has not changed. Do you want to change the slide?
Yes, yes, I want to. I did change my slide here, but maybe there is something wrong.
Here it is not changed.
Oh,
Uh, I think if it is possible, can you share again, sir? Share your screen
sure,
again, then
sure,
it
sure,
may
sure.
change.
I will do that.
Yes, now it is visible, sir.
Right. Okay, let me start slideshow. Right. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, tips for researchers. Yes.
Yes, tips for researchers. The first one I was mentioned was cite your own past work when it is relevant to a new manuscript. And there is one rule, that is, please cite your past work only when it is relevant to your current work. Do not cite every paper you have written just to increase your citation count. If it is relevant, because now one thing we understand is that research is like a chain, and what a researcher does is he will start with one thing and then he will keep on doing research in the same field. And many other researchers, for example, most of my research work, published research work, they are related to teacher development, and particularly the concept of burnout. So uh, I can cite my past research most of the time. Now I have engaged in other kind of research as well. For example, second language acquisition. But my second language acquisition research papers may have got nothing to do with my burnout research papers. But my, for my burnout, if I'm doing a new paper in the area of teacher burnout, professional burnout, then I'll be able to cite at least a couple of my past work. So that will help me in a way as a researcher to showcase what I have done, because in my reference list, when I give my past papers, right, the people who read my new paper will, if they find my past papers uh, interesting and useful, they will definitely refer to those, they will read them, and the chances of citing my past papers is high. And and on the other hand, I too have cited my past papers, so that gives a kind of a support to my to boost my citation count. So that is one thing you can do. But remember, the rule is that only when it is relevant to your current work. And many of the researchers, young researchers, novice researchers, they think that citing their past papers or citing what they have already done is inappropriate. No, you can do, but if it is relevant to your work, right? That is one of the tips. And the next one is carefully choose your keywords. Now, keywords is very important. Right? It's like the thumbnails on YouTube. Now, the YouTubers these days, they know how to enhance the visibility, right? With the thumbnails, what they do is they try to enhance the visibility of their videos they make. YouTubers know this very well. So we can use the same thing, the same technique in the field of research as well. Carefully choose your keywords. Keywords, they matter a lot, right? And you have to have a plan there. You have to be mindful of the keywords you select, because you first you have to do a kind of a survey or mental survey to understand the keywords the researchers, other researchers, fellow researchers in your own field are looking for, right? Because when you know what you are looking for when you are going to when you are to start a new research project, and when you are looking for literature, you know what keywords you are looking for. And in the same way, right, we have to understand that other researchers, fellow researchers too, will look for such keywords, and to find as many keywords as possible and using them in your research paper, right? That is very helpful, and because when they look for your for research studies or research papers in a database, right, that your the way you have selected keywords help you, and your research visibility will be very high when you select the right keyword. And with the keyword, the next tip is use your keywords and phrases in your title and repeatedly in your abstract. When you develop at the end, when you develop your abstract, right, you if you use the keywords you have used in your abstract, and if you have used them in your uh, uh, title, keywords and phrases in your title appropriately, I have to mention this again, they have to be appropriate. It is not just using keywords for the sake of using keywords to improve your research visibility. You have to use them appropriately, because repeating keywords and phrases, that will definitely increase the likelihood, the chances of your paper uh, being displayed at the top of a research engine list. For example, Google or whatever, where when you search, right, when others look for research papers, they will look for example, I don't know whether you are aware of, whether you are familiar with the database called full PDF, right, where you can find thousands, hundreds and thousands of research papers. Right? You do a keyword search there, right? That's what the only thing you do is you go ahead with a keyword search. You will get millions of, sometimes millions of papers, millions of articles, and you can get research thesis and then research articles published in journals. Then you can, if there are patent papers, whatever, you can find them online, right? They are free. The only thing is you should know the keyword. So in the same way, if you use the right keywords and phrases in your title, and if you use them with a plan, it's not just for the sake of using them, right? In a planned manner, repeatedly in your abstract, the chances of your paper being displayed at the top of a search engine is very high. So remember the keywords all the time, selecting keywords, right? Carefully choose your keywords and then use them, right, in your title and repeatedly in your abstract. So now when you write your abstract, now at the end of the paper, you write your abstract. And when you write your abstract, be mindful of the keywords you have used, you have selected, and be strategic there. That's a strategy, because it's the abstract that encourages a researcher to read your paper. And if a researcher to cite your paper, then first he should be attracted to the abstract, and then only he or she will read your paper. So that is about keywords. Then use a consistent form of your name on all of your papers. Now this is very important. This is very important because for now official requirements, we sometimes write our name in one way, and as a researcher, it's like many of these musicians these
So
days.
once again, the slide is has not
Oh my
changed.
goodness! Right, I think there is
I
something
think the
wrong.
slideshow you stopped, sir, and then you can just keep it without the slideshow
Without the
itself.
slideshow. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, that's what I understand. Okay. Right. Is it okay? Dr. Walter,
Yes,
can you see it now?
yes, yes.
Right. Okay. It's where we were. Right. Then use a consistent form of your name on all your papers. This is very important. As I told you, for official purposes, sometimes we use our name with initials and a lot of initials, and then we have the preferred name, right? But the day you start publishing, please decide the name you prefer. Like many of these artists now, the young people, young rap artists, I've seen them using a stage name, right? They are popular more with their stage name and not with their actual name. So I'm not asking you to have a stage name, but first think of the way you are going to use your name in your research publications and stick to that. Be consistent, right? Because now using the same name on all of your papers will make it easier for others to find all your published work. For example, I go like as S.A.D.SAMARAWEERA, right? But for my official, in my official documents, I have my name appeared in another way with my initials and then my family name. But for all my published papers, I use one consistent form, right? Because now if your name is very common, that is again a problem, because now, for example, there are many common names, and once you type, there will be several people who with your name. Now luckily in our part, of course, now my name is not very common, but still I find there are 2 or 3 people appearing, right, with the same name. And on such occasions, what we can do is consider getting your ORC ID, right, your researcher ID, right, like ORC ID, right, and you can provide that ID in your email signature and link that to your publication list, so that, right, anyone you email has access to your publications. That is another way of letting others know that you have published, and getting them access to your publish. And then if your research paper is strong, and if your research paper is interesting, right, the chances of you being cited are very high. So this ORC ID is one way to get your, and that's a unique ID, and I know many of you know the ORC ID, and that's very unique. And with that uniqueness, of course, you can remain a unique researcher, and people will find you all the time, and that helps boost your research or your citation count. And the next is, make sure that your information is correct. This is very important, right? And check your name and affiliation are correct on the final proof of your manuscript, and check that the paper's information is accurate in database searches, right? This is very important, and all the researchers, young researchers, have to be very careful when they select information, and the information you deal with should be correct all the time. Not only your name and the affiliation, right? The information, right, you have within your paper should also be accurate, because if not, you will not be cited, and as a researcher you will have no credibility. Then we have make your manuscript easily accessible. Now this is another thing, right? We don't try, right, many of our researchers, they don't try to make the manuscript easily accessible. So what can we do to do that, right? If your paper is not published in an open access journal, right, now with open access journals, of course, it's okay, your research visibility will be there. But if you don't publish in an open access journal, right, what you can do is you can post your publication, right, to a repository, right? You can print it to publish it in a repository, so that there'll be a chance of people getting it or accessing it. And you can check on this Sherpa Romeo, right? You can find your publisher's copyright and self-archiving policies regarding sharing your published manuscript, right? And if I Sherpa Romeo, my problem is now I won't be able to show you what it is, but please try this, right? Once you get into Sherpa Romeo, what happens is you will have it's like a search engine, and you can type the name of the journal, right, you have published, and then you will get all the information like the publisher's copyright and self-archiving policies. Right after that, you can publish your paper in a repository, and that will help you because many people will have access to your paper then. Right. Then share your data. Right. There is some evidence that sharing your data can increase your citation. Right. Consider posting you to data sharing websites like Figshare, SlideShare. Right. You are aware of many of us. We are aware of SlideShare. Right. Your data. Right. You can share them on websites like Figshare or SlideShare, and with reference to your paper. So with that, of course, again, you will be able to reach an international audience, because when people look for information, when people look for data, right, that will appear, and that will create those researchers, they will be able to access your paper, and they'll be see you as a researcher, and the chances of again getting your uh, research work cited in their work is high then. And I know sometimes, in the research world, Wikipedia is not considered very much as a reliable resource, but if to contributing to Wikipedia also, sometimes you will be able uh, to get some kind of support for your citation, because these are the places where other people might see you as a researcher, and particularly as young researchers, right, novice researchers, if you can contribute to these if you can share your data, right, on places like this, that contribution will help you definitely in improving your citation count. And this is, of course, a common thing. Present your work at conferences. Although conference presentations are not cited by others, this will make your research more visible to the academic and research communities. Right? These conference presentations help. That's one of the places where you can begin as a researcher. Right? Now, as a young researcher, I started at conferences. I was looking for conferences, and I got opportunities to present in national conferences, and that gave me some kind of confidence to go ahead as a researcher. That's what happened to me. And then I started presenting in international conference, particularly in India. I can remember presenting at different conferences, and that's where I improved my confidence as a researcher, and that will help you to be more visible as a researcher, as an academic, and your exposure to an academic community, a bigger academic community. For example, in South Asia, we are a huge academic community. If you can present your work in conferences, definitely you will get many other opportunities, and as researchers, right, your citation count will go up little by little. And then we have the social media. Use social media lavishly. Provide links to your papers on social media. We have many social media platforms today: Facebook, Twitter, academia, and then ResearchGate, Mendeley. Right? In most of these now, this is how you can reach a bigger community. Right? They are more powerful today. Now, I have seen eminent researchers publishing their publishing. Sorry, they are sharing their published research work on Facebook. And very recently, an eminent researcher from Deakin University, right, he has published a paper and he has shared that on social media. And I think many hundreds and thousands of people, they asked for a copy of the research, and he lavishly shared that. And just the news of your publication, right, will motivate your friends and colleagues in the international community to ask for your research publication, and then you can treat them. And academia, you can create your own profile, and you can upload all your published papers there. And you know, and every day you can, now if you check your academia or researchgate profile, you will understand, and you get the messages as well from academia. Every day you get messages when others read your articles, and sometimes it's amazing to see that your papers are read by people. We are here in Sri Lanka or India, but people from all over the world, sometimes from the United States, Australia, Japan, and many places, right? They read and you get the report, and it's really amazing and encouraging as researchers to know that your papers are read by others in the world, and that improves your citation count drastically. And the amount of opportunities you get as researchers, right, once the academic community, once they read your papers on the social media platforms like academia and researchgate, the number of opportunities you get, the number of invitations you get for publications and for academic events, right? They're really amazing. And therefore, I think using social media today is a wonderful way to improve your visibility. And again, the key word today is visibility. Improve your research visibility as a researcher, right? You may be doing a lot of work, but if you are not visible to the world, right, now these are the strongest platforms we have, social media platforms we have today. And you know, in your profile, right, if you have included these, right, and that helps a lot, right? And the other way is adding your publications to your university profile page. This of course has to be a kind of an organized activity by universities and departments. For example, English departments, if you can organize a particular plan, if you can have a plan to showcase the research work of your academics on your profile page, right, on the particular page of the department or the university, right? And whoever visits your university website, of course, they will be directed to, they'll be attracted to looking at the profile of the leading scholars of the university or the department. And that also is a help to improve your visibility. And with that visibility, of course, the citation count might go up. And the other one is to actively promote your work, right? This is very important. It is your work, right? It is your research work, and you are responsible for your research work, and you are responsible for improving your visibility as a researcher in the international community, right? Now, freely talk to the other researchers about your paper, about what you are doing currently, and what you have done. And maybe they are not in your field, but just talk to them, and they will know that you are a researcher. And they might, now maybe if somebody who talks to you, or whom you talk to, maybe that person is not in your field, but that person might take the message to others is spreading the word of mouth, right? And because they will introduce you to other researchers, and you can simply email copies of your papers to researchers whom you think may be interested, right? Because it doesn't matter, it doesn't cost anything. You simply, right, send a copy of your current paper, your recent paper, to a group of researchers, to group of academics from all over the world, right? And they will read, and if one day they might think, oh my goodness, there is this paper and I need to read it again and I need to cite it. So that is another way of improving your citation count. And the other one is create a blog or website dedicated to your research and share. Right? This is your own website, creating your own website or your blog dedicated to your own research. And that is another way, right? And while posting them on social media, you can have your own blog or your own website dedicated to your research, and that also will help you. Right now, these are the 10 tips I have for you as researchers to improve your research visibility and to see how your research, your citation count goes up, right? And then let me move on to these technical things, the sources or the resources, right? And I think many of us we know, and for young researchers, right, publishing in an indexed journal is a very important thing, because you know this increases the credibility of your work. Now, Scopus is Elsevier's abstract and citation database. This was launched in 2004, and right now they cover nearly 36,377 titles, right? And they have links with 11,678 publishers, right? And many of these journals are peer-reviewed journals, right? And they are top-level journals within the subject fields, right? And education, life science, social sciences, right? Physical sciences, right? There are many, and they have journals published in 40 languages, right? And their records are updated daily. Now, this is the beauty of it. The records are updated daily, and you might think it's difficult to publish in a Scopus indexed journal. No, right? I'm particularly talking to our novice and young researchers. No, right? There are simple tips like, first, select the journal you want to publish, and study a couple of issues, right? And understand their rhythm, and then start your research paper, right? Don't just write your research paper and think of sending into a indexed journal, Scopus indexed journal. First, what you should do is select a research journal very carefully, study a couple of issues, and then you will understand the rhythm of that particular journal. And with that rhythm, once you have understood the rhythm of the journal, then you can get into that rhythm and develop your article. And another hint here is, right, if you want to publish in a reputed journal, right? Another thing you should do is, apart from identifying the rhythm of the journal, another thing you can do is, right, select a couple of papers, right, from your field and cite them as well, because citation index or citation count matters to everybody. It is not on, it is not a matter only to the particular institution or organization. Even for the journal databases, of course, it is very, very important. For example, for a journal, right, to keep their level up, the standards up, citation count matters. So, right, what we should have in our mind is, so this matters to them, so give that credit to that particular journal, right, from Scopus or whatever, right? You find from a database, you find a journal, and then, right, understand the rhythm of the journal, and then you select a couple of recent journals, sorry, articles from that particular journal related to your study. And for that, you will have to do, you will have to actually work hard, right, and cite those articles, and that will help the particular journal as well. So you will, that way you'll be able to have kind of easy access to high quality journals, right? Otherwise, what happens is, that will come back to us several times, and finally, maybe the researcher, particularly the young researchers, they will get disappointed and they will stop. So to avoid that, what we can do is study it very carefully. And there are these Web of Science, right? And then high index, and then we have the SJR, scientific journal ranking, right? And with the scientific journal ranking, what you can do is, I'll try to show you that. I don't know whether I'll be able to do that. Let me try it. Yeah, I'm getting it. Just hope I'll be able to show you this. Yes, this is SJR, right? You can see.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. It's visible.
They have arranged the journals, right? Ranked the journals, right? And now normally, first comes, if you, without any filtering, if you go for, you will get the medical sciences and uh, related journals on the top, right? And for all subject areas, if you want to filter, then you can filter, right, according to subject areas, subject categories, and according to the region, right? And you can select your journal and the preferred journal, and then start reading or studying that particular journal, and then you can go ahead with your publication. And this is Web of Science, Right. Now, these are some of the ways. Of course, it is not just becoming a researcher, but apart from that, what we should do is we should engage in research about research, right? For example, publications, for example, where I should do, where I should publish my article, and how I can get the best out of my publication, and the databases I can use to reach as many people as possible, what social media I can use, right? And we have to be strategic, and there also, as researchers, we have to do kind of a research to publish our research, right? So as a if you want to be an eminent researcher, a researcher who can reach as many people as possible and to reap the benefits I mentioned earlier, personal, professional, and institutional benefits. What we have to do is we have to do another research, engage in another research. So with that, I want to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I have taken like a few minutes, a few seconds more. Anyway, wishing you all the best for a wonderful journey ahead as researchers, and wishing you all the best for this particular endeavor, particularly SRM Institute, for organizing this faculty development program and helping the young researchers as well as experts in this area, or in the area of education, and particularly maybe language education, to share your knowledge and to sharpen your skills, right? I hope you will have the best out of this 7-day faculty development program. Thank you. Thank you very much. And if there are questions, I'm ready to answer.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful, most comprehensive presentation, which was really perfect for the day one of our faculty development program. We shall have a few questions, sir, now. There was a question which was commonly posted by a few participants earlier in the chat stream. I would like to start with that, sir, and then I would post up a few questions on your screen. This was regarding journal databases, like how should a researcher uh, analyze or identify a good journal based on what metrics he finds or she finds in a particular database? That was the question.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very important question. So now, if I take as an example this SJR, right? Now, if we take education, right? Let me share my screen again with you.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Sure. Now I have selected education. I have filtered it, and we have a list of journals, right? And now on the top we have review of educational research, and how it's first, it's a Q1, a tier 1 journal, right? And how has it become a tier 1 journal, right? And that's the most important thing. Now, if you go by these, right, reference rate, for two years citation index, and the number of citable documents for 3 years, and total sites within 3 years. Now, review of educational research, right? There are 1,163 sites, right, within 3 years. And in 2020, the total number of references is 2,682, right? Now, with these, we can understand that this is a high level journal, and that's a Q1 journal. And in this database, you have Q2, Q3 journals as well, right? When we go down to Q2, Q3 journals, what happens is, of course, there are many Q1 journals, right? On the first page, we have 50, and they all are Q1 journals. That means they are very high quality journals, and the number of sites, the number of references, and the number of documents within 3 years, and then there are many such things given in this particular database. And sometimes people might say that there is a bias for the Western countries as well, but actually when we select a journal from a database, always we have to select a journal that is reliable, and that has high reputation. And sometimes maybe for a very young and a novice researcher publishing something on a Q1 journal, maybe it's a challengeable task. But if you go down the list, right, there are 1,544 education related journals here, right, in this database, right? Now you can select first kind of a, not a very low level journal, but a mediocre kind of a journal, right? And if you want, say, you can simply go for, say, right, let's say, if you want to, say, get to a right, there are countries, right, by country or by region wise, right? Let's say okay, not Africa, but let's say Middle East, right? Okay, right, see the number of journals. Now we can find Q2 journals, right, with an impact rate a little lower, but they're also accepted journals. You can start somewhere here, right? Now this Journal of Turkish Science Education, Journal of Positive Psychology and Well-being, right, that also comes from Turkey. And there are a lot of education journals coming from Turkey, right? And from Iran, right? They are also international journals. With now, when it comes to this level, they are Q3 journals, but I always advise you to go for, as a beginning, to a Q2 journal and start from there and go up. Hope I have given, now I used only this particular database, but hope I have given good answer to our colleague.
Yes. Yes, thank you, sir. The next question is on your screen, sir.
Very good. How can we avoid fake journals? This is very, very, very important. Yes, there are many fake journals around us, and you might get invitations from different people asking you to contribute to your journals. But the best thing is, try uh, these on any of these databases, like now SJR, right? You can try it, or you can try it on Scopus, or you can use this Romeo Sherpa, right? As I told you, right? On those particular databases, if you can search for the name of the journal, then you will definitely find whether it is an accepted journal or not. Because on these, the credibility of these, the database you are looking for, a journal, is very important. So to avoid fake journals, always try to publish in a journal that is listed on any of these credible databases, right? Maybe WS, maybe SJR, right? And you can check credibility of these using Sherpa Romeo. That's how you can do that.
So just to add to that question.
Yeah. Yes.
So can those papers be published in recognized journals as well?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I'll just post up the question once again, sir.
Okay. Some of us have been victims of predatory journals. Can we publish those papers again in recognized journals? Oh my goodness. Right. This is the question. Yeah. Victims. Yeah. Now that's really a pathetic case, right? If you have been a victim, then my advice is to restart rather than trying and getting into more trouble, right? Why don't you restart, right? And this is, I think, this is an eye opener. Many of us, many of our young colleagues, they become victims of these predatory journals and fake journals. And you know, before the duty of the experts, the supervisors, the guides, and the mentors is always to help our colleagues to find the legitimate journals, and the institutes. I think my request to all the institutes is uh, better, all the research departments, if you can prepare a list, a database based on these credible sources. If you can create a list of journals that you accept, right, publications, when it comes to your particularly your higher qualifications like PhDs. Now for PhD students, publication is a must. So if you can give guidelines to as departments and universities, if you can, or faculties, if you can give your guidelines, right, if you can prepare a predetermined number of journals, and if you can keep on updating this list every year, I think that would be very, very important and very, very helpful to the young academics not to be victims of these kind of fake journals.
Thank you, sir. I think the next question is quite relevant to your topic, which we have discussed today. How many citations would be good?
Oh my goodness, how many citations means this? I didn't understand the questions.
I think the respected HOD has meant that how many citations for a particular article which they have published would be good enough to boost, or to give more visibility to the research?
Okay, that I think that depends, and because the number of citations you use in your article, that solely depends on the need, right? So I think when you uh, decide, then it's not the number of citations, but the people who you cite. That is the most important thing, I think, because when you do a simple search, right, with say let's take Richards and Rogers, right? Now they are dons in the field of English language education, and if you cite Richards and Rogers, right, and a particular quote or a particular place of Richard and Rogers, now the moment you type Richards and Rogers, of course, you know a full list of articles or work that Richards and Rogers have been cited will appear. So it's I think rather than for my personal views, it's not the number of citations, but the quality of your citations, the people whom you select, right? That matters a lot.
Thank you, sir. So there are quite a few questions on a particular subject. I would like to just put it to you in my own way, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You spoke about posting research publications on social media, giving more visibility. So some participants have a concern about intellectual theft or plagiarism that could happen if that is the if we try to give more visibility to our research by posting it up on social media or other databases like academia, researchgate, and so on. Your thoughts
Okay.
on this, sir?
Yeah. Okay. Right. Now, plagiarism is an issue, but since all of you and at least majority of us, we publish in English, I think when it comes to any credible journal or any university, of course we have right now the ways and means of checking plagiarism. How we have Turnitin, and then even we have the free sources, free tools to check plagiarism. And to my knowledge, all the accepted journals, right, quality journals, what they do is, they once you send your article, they do a plagiarism check, and they send it to you. When they send their report back to you, they mention your plagiarism count as well. So personally, I have never encountered this problem, because as long as the institutes and publishers check for plagiarism, and in fake journals maybe you don't have that, but fake journals are not accepted. But in the academic world, I think uh, this is not a big problem. I don't say that it is not a problem, but I have seen many internationally renowned, world-renowned academics posting their or adding their research articles to the social media platforms. And at least say now on Facebook, I don't recommend you to include your entire research article. What you can do is, you can simply publish your abstract, or you can simply make it a post, right, with your title, and those who are interested in, they can inbox and they can ask for a copy of the uh, research article, right? If you think you should share, then you can share. If you don't think, don't share that with him, right?
Thank you, sir. As a final question to sum up the session, I would like to post this question. So, overall, what would you say to improving citation index? So, how would you
Right.
suggest?
Yeah, to improve your citation index, A, uh, improve your visibility. B, improve the quality of your paper, because what quality is what matters on all the occasions, right? And to improve the quality of your article, please try to say understand the rhythm of a quality article, and try to understand the rhythm of a journal that is accredited and accepted in the academic world. And that is the most important thing. First, improve your visibility. Second, improve your quality of your uh, work. And the third is try to improve your network, right? Your network also matters a lot. So those are 3 simple steps to improve your citation index.
Thank you so much, sir. With that, we come to an end of the Q&A session. I would now like to request our respected HOD, Dr. Rama, to give her kind comments.
Thank you, Walter. Sir, I think I think I'm falling short of words to thank you for that wonderful session, because you said it in such simple words, sir. No hi-fi, no highly technical words. So simple and something that every commoner might be able to understand. So that was what I think stood out in that entire presentation. And equally, I think good was the question and answer session, because it was a small presentation by itself. So on behalf of the department and management, sir, I once again take this opportunity to thank you immensely for having spent your day. And this is a day well spent for all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request my colleague, Dr. K. Nagamani, to deliver the formal vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Walter. I feel extremely privileged to propose vote of thanks for today's session. I feel humbled before the immense grace of God Almighty, who has showered His choicest blessings to make this day a phenomenal one. I express my sincere gratitude to the management and all the heads of our institution for steering us into constructive professional development. A bounteous note of gratitude is due unto our resource person today, Dr. Samaraweera, a man of high academic excellence and expertise, for having made a premier opening session for a week-long FDP on research domain. Lucidity is a single word that can define the wonderful deliberation, sir. Thank you so much. And I'm sure no one else could have made it as simple and straightforward as if providing tips for healthcare or for a recipe. Thank you so much, sir, for clearing our blurred vision literally and giving a very transparent idea of how to go about. It is like giving a pat on our shoulders, encouraging us to do constructive research work. I'm so delighted here to express my earnest gratitude to our beloved head of the department, Dr. Rema, for her unflinching support in all our endeavors. Special mention must be made of the 2 organizers here, Dr. Savitha, who always plans and brings us wonderful research persons, and Dr. Walter Parker, who is the anchor of our department of EFL SRM IST. Thanks to both of you guys. You did a wonderful job. And today's session is actually a milestone or a landmark in our work today for this academic year. I would fail in my duty if I do not express my thanks to my colleague Pritha Basu, who has been coordinating efficiently with us. I express my sincere thanks to all the faculty members of our department and all the great participants from various esteemed institutions. Thank you once again. Please join us tomorrow for yet another fruitful discourse. Thank you once again. Stay safe.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With that, we come to the end of lively, vivid, and eye-opening lecture presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for sparing your
Thank you.
time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Have a good night.
You too, sir.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Walter. Thank you, Savitha, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Very
ma'am.
great session we had, I think. Thank you
Yes,
for everybody.
yes, a great
Yes.
start to the
Very great start.
1 week FTP. I'm sure all
Yes,
the participants were quite happy.
definitely.
We'll get together again tomorrow, ma'am.
Yes, for tomorrow's session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Walter.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.